punching their ticket to the playoffs with a 5-2 win against the Canucks Wednesday night, it's clear that the Minnesota Wild will be competing in the NHL playoffs for the 12th time in the last 14 years, and also for their 15th time in their 26-year history. Despite always making the playoffs, the Wild haven't gotten out of the first round since 2015, which, yes, is over a decade ago. However, after acquiring superstars Quinn Hughes in mid-December, pairing him alongside a team full of superstars, Bill Guerin seems to believe that this year is a little bit different. Whether or not that is true, we will have to wait for playoff time, but we can still talk about it and see if we think this team has what it takes to get out of the first round for the first time in over 11 years. The road will be tough as they currently sit in third place in the Central Division, which would end up leading them to be the road team in the first round of the playoff, only to face division rivals, the Dallas Stars. However, home ice is not out of the question as the Wild only sit 4 points back of the Stars, one game in hand, and also a matchup versus the Stars on Tuesday, which could decide and will decide who has the tiebreaker. Normally decided by head-to-head matchups, the Wild will come into the game Tuesday leading the series 2-1. So if they win, they will take the tiebreak from the Stars, which could lead to home ice. But does this team have enough, and who is the most important to not only fight for home ice advantage, but also make a Stanley Cup run? Because we also have a special guest on today. We'll find that out right now. That is right, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Inside the Wild here on Inside the Zone with Matteo. So glad you guys are choosing to stop by. For those who do not know, I'm Matteo, and this is my NHL podcast here on the channel where we cover all things related to sports and, most importantly, Minnesota sports. If you enjoy content like this and enjoy this episode and want to see more content like it, feel free to hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. But now, without further ado, let's get to our normal little Matteo Show batting order presented by To Be Determined. If you'd like to sponsor this segment, feel free to let me know via email, or you can use the contact form in my website, which is also linked in the description of this video. But Matteo Show batting order, basically a roadmap for where we're going today. And there's two things on today's batting order. The first thing, intro to our guest, because yes, we have our first guest of season 2 of Inside the Zone with Matteo. And secondly, on this batting order's most important player. So without further ado, let's get into the introduction. And this is going to be short and simple. It is my dad, or in other words, in Italian, my Babbo. And that's how I'm going to address him because that's just the way we do it over here. So welcome to the show. He's the guy who introduced all sports to me, I think, for the most part. And welcome to the show. Second time being on here. I think the first episode actually got accidentally deleted. But so this is going to be the first time you're actually going to hear it with a solid audience. So welcome to the show. How are we doing today?
We are doing great. I'm happy to be here talking sports, especially the Wild.
Oh, yes. Your favorite team out of the four, I think. So this should be interesting. For those who do not know, this is going to be all Minnesota Wild, all talking about the players. So now let's get into the rankings, which is going to be why you probably clicked on this entire video. So this is how it's going to work. We each have come up with our list of top 10 most important Wild players for a potential playoff run, which we actually now know is going to be a playoff run with that recent clinching. This is more on the impact rather than the skill, but it can also be a mixture of both just because, you don't necessarily need all your skill to win a playoff series in the NHL. You need a lot of grit, you need goaltending, and so much more. This is how it's going to quickly work. We're both going to go through our 10 through 6 players shortly. Babbo's going to start first. He's going to go 10 through 6, and then I'm going to go. We're going to basically just kind of briefly say why we picked them, probably 10 to 20 seconds per player. And then, we're going to talk a little bit about after each person goes. And then the top 5 kind of be the main part of this. We're going to go one at a time, both saying our 5s, then go to our 4s, etc. And in between those numbers, we'll talk a little bit about it without giving too much away. So without further ado, let's get into the rankings. And this is going to be fun. So let's hand it over to Babbo. Who are your top 10 players, starting with number 10 and going all the way to number 6?
All right, we'll start with number 10 with one of your favorite players, Hartman. I'm putting him at 10. He's gritty. He's been scoring a lot, so I think he could make a difference in the playoff run, especially playing in that first line. Number 9, I have the new Wild from this year, Tarasenko. I'm putting him. Need to find someone in that second or third line to make an impact, and I think he could be a good one. Number 8, I considered putting him in the top 5. Actually, it's Brodin. The reason I like Brodin is he is going to be defending probably the best offensive player, whoever the Wild play, and that's usually what happens. So I'll put him on number 8. Number 7, I'm going to go with Zuccarello. He has good chemistry with Kaprizov. Is going to be very important for Kaprizov to have a successful playoff run. So I'm going to go with him. Plus his he's played in the playoffs a lot, so they're going to need his help. Number 6, I'm going to go with Brock Faber, and that rounds the first 5 for me.
So I just have one question here. What differentiated the decision for putting Faber not in the top 5? Because that means you have somebody else that I'm not quite sure. I mean, I'm guessing I have a good idea of why. But why Faber down at 6, not in the top 5, which he is a top 5 player skill level on this team. But this is also where we go into, its impact over skill.
Yeah, well, it'll probably be revealed more when we talk about the top 5. But to be honest, I had him in the top 5, then out of the top 5, then in the top 5. I kept switching him with a couple other players. He's a fabulous player. He's probably one of my favorite players, solid defensively. So definitely deserves to be in the top 5. But I guess we'll talk a little more later about my top 5 and why I chose these other ones.
Yeah, so I see the vision here, and there's some players you do not have any same spots as my 6 through 10. So we'll go through that in a second, but
Okay.
I don't know, Tarasenko, that's a hot take. I'm just saying, Tarasenko, the 9th most important player for a playoff run. Help me understand that a little bit, because I'm a little confused.
Okay, well, he is solid offensively. He is playing really well, I think, this last month. And you can't just rely on the top 2 lines. And you need someone to come through in that third or fourth line. And I think that could be Tarasenko. I mean, Foligno could be another one. I just don't see anyone else in the bottom 6.
Yeah.
That is at that level. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Tarasenko, a very quiet 43 points, 21 goals, 22 assists is kind of, just out of my mind. I wouldn't have expected that at the start of the season.
Right.
But again, you were talking about third line. I don't know if he's going to play on the third line as well. I could see it in a way where you need that veteran player on a second line with Joel Eriksson or in a Matt Boldy. Could that happen? And then maybe he gets overshadowed with Boldy and Ek, and then is maybe a non-factor. But I get his veteranship. I don't know. It's interesting, and that's why you're here. So
yeah, I mean, the bottom 6 guys or bottom 8 guys, who would you put in place of him?
Well, that's a good transition point because we got my top 10 players here. We're going to start at 10, go through 6.
Okay.
And my top 10, at 10, this is a hot take. It's an extreme hot take. But give me Yakov Trenin. Trenin is the ultimate depth guy that you have right here in this team. When I look up and down the lineup, you have to realize who you're also playing. You're going to be playing the Dallas Stars. The Stars are full of offense, but they're also a very scrappy team. They will be checking your top players, the guys like Hughes, Boldy, and Kaprizov, a lot. And you're going to need these guys, these role player guys, these depth guys who provide a lot of scoring as well and just smart decision making in these playoffs. Because you think about it. Think about these last couple playoff runs. There's always been one of these guys. Whether it was Sam Steele a couple years ago, whether it was, who was it last year? There was if you go up and down these last couple seasons, there's always been one guy who maybe didn't perform as well in the season, but proven to be. I mean, Johansson's a great explanation there and a great example because Johansson, while he didn't make my top 10, he could have been there as well just because of how much he can contribute. And I just got to think I had to put one of those guys in there, and that's why I kind of put them there. Yep. At 9, I have your guy Jonas Brodin, former number one. Former number 1 defense, speed defense. I do think Quinn Hughes is going to overshadow him a little bit. I think, if you play a guy like Connor McDavid eventually and Nathan McKinnon, Quinn Hughes is going to be on the ice most of the time. Most of the time is the key word there, as I see your face a little, because I see in a world, I know he's been our number 1 guy. He's getting up there in age. He has struggled with injuries this season, so I don't know. They're going to for sure put him out there sometimes, but I think with this new addition with Hughes, I think you see probably Hughes play a lot more, but he's still going to be important, especially, say Hughes goes down for an injury, maybe he gets sick a game, that's for sure where you can put him in. Zuccarello's 8, veteran leader, passing, power play. It's everything you need to keep Kaprizov going. The one question mark is he has been a little bit inconsistent these last couple seasons when we get to the postseason. So that's just my little question mark on Zuccarello. But again, veteran, similar to Tarasenko. So you can kind of see, where we're going here. At 7, it's a guy that I think probably going to be in your top 5. I'm going Philip Gustafsson in 7 just because there's so many other more important players in my opinion here. A goalie can steal a game. A goalie can steal an entire series, which I would get why you would probably put him maybe as more important. However, just by the state of how I'm doing this, I'm going to put Philip Gustafsson at 7 just because also I could have put Wallstedt as well in this because I do think we're going to see both of them in the playoffs, and I just didn't feel like putting 2 goalies in my top 10. And then when we get to 6, Ryan Hartman has to be up there. I mean, you're seeing him. You see him these last couple weeks. You see him throughout the season. You see him in the playoffs. I mean, there might not be another guy on this team that contributes as much as Ryan Hartman when you need those scrappy games. And, I'm thinking Dallas right here. When I put together this list, I'm thinking Dallas. And Dallas, you need an ultimate defender, gritty, but who can also get into the front of the net, which is obviously where Ek comes in. We all know how high we all are on Ek. The state of hockey loves Eriksson Ek. But that's in general my 6 through 10. What are your thoughts on there, just in general?
My only thought is, what you said about Hughes. I don't think he's going to be defending their top players. In fact, if it's not Brodin, it's going to be Faber. Faber is a defensive defenseman like Brodin, and Hughes is not. He is a great offensive guy. He can do the power play. He's one of the best skaters in the NHL, but I do not think he's going to defend the best player. That's just my opinion. I think those other 2 are more defensemen. So that's the only thing. Other than that, I mean, we had pretty much the same players other than 1 or 2. I love Trenyan. Always loved him. Kind of forgot about him because he hasn't been playing for a while. Yeah. But he's a solid, 4th liner?
4th or 3rd. I mean, he's been playing on the 3rd all season. You have that Russian line, Yurov, Trenin, and Tarasenko. Yeah. But, I mean, we'll see.
We'll see.
Just the one piggyback thing. Brodin's a left defenseman. He's going to play with a right defenseman. So he's not most likely in the playoffs going to play with Faber. That's just my one thing. It's going to be Brodin and Spurgeon. It's going to be Hughes and Faber. I think you're going to have Faber and Hughes on the ice for when there's the more talented players out there most of the time. You're going to still have those shifts because there's an odd amount of defensive pairings, but that's just where I come into it. I mean, so.
Okay.
We'll see. I think we could see for sure both elements happen.
Especially at home when you have the last change. I think they're going to try to put Brodin with a McDavid or whatever. And they've done that in the past. Evison did that. Boudreau did that. So we'll see what happens. I mean, they're all good defensemen.
They are. And they have one of the best defensive groups in the entire
And we're
NHL.
so deep. Look at all these players we're talking about. So
I mean, you could have put guys like Middleton, Johansson, Spurgeon, Wallstedt. You can put any of them in the top 10. But ultimately, we had to make a list, and that is where we're going to transition. It's time for the moment you've all been waiting for, the top 5. Who's your top 5? Then I'll go through my top 5 and we'll talk about it. So you're just number 5.
Let's just do 5.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
my number 5 is one of my favorite players, Eck.
Jules?
Yes. What's
Wow.
yours? Whoa.
Wow.
You know,
That
too low for him, huh?
it's a hot take for somebody that A, wins faceoffs, one of the most important positions in the entire sport. B, you love him because he gets in front of the net.
Yeah.
And, that's why I'm so high on Hartman. So generally speaking, for my list, it would make more sense for Hartman, and then the neck has to be higher just for that.
Yeah.
But I get it. You had Hartman at 10, so, it kind of makes sense. But I have at 5. You can't have too many superstars at the top. You got to have Matt Boldy at 5 just because he is young. You still have major penalty problems. Do you know how many times he takes many penalties, useless penalties? I'm talking about last season. I'm talking about earlier in the season. Yes, he's grown as a player. He, is an Olympian. But Boldy, in a series where you have Kaprizov, you have Hughes, you have other guys that are going to make an impact. Yes, Boldy is going to be important. But how is he more important than Eck? No. So how is Eck least more important, not more important than Boldy? Because you're going to have Boldy ahead of Eck. So how? Just tell me why.
The top 5 they're all going to be good. So, and I agree. Eck is gritty, gets in front of the goalie. He's the heart and soul in many ways of the Wild. But I'll talk about Boldy later. But he's a pure scorer. You need scoring in the playoffs. He is elite.
Where's Kaprizov?
He is elite.
I'm just saying.
We'll get there.
Do you value grit and defense in the playoffs more than offense? That's all I'm saying.
It's a mixture.
Offense
the
is
goaltending is very high on my list.
Oh, I see that.
Because and we'll talk about goaltending. That can make or break a whole season. A whole playoff.
It can, and I'm just saying.
All right.
Offense wins games. Defenses they win championships, and that's all I'm gonna leave it. Yeah. Who's your 4th?
My 4th is Hughes. I've got him at 4. I love your face.
Who did I invite on this podcast? I'm sorry. Carry on.
4 is not bad. 4 is pretty good.
Carry on.
What's your problem with
why? One of the best players in the NHL?
Because I'm not saying he's 4th best in the team.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking valuable for the series against the Stars.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the top 3 that I'll talk about are probably more valuable.
Yeah.
But not, all the top 5 are valuable. You know what I mean? So, Hughes, there's just so many good things I can say about him.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a hot take.
I don't know.
Let me know in the comments.
I have some hot takes. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think. For 4 for me, I got Joel Eriksson there. So yes, it's 1 off of me, but I'm just saying it's 1 off. And I know he's saying 1 off. But 1 off is big in the playoffs. You got to take the grit. You got to take the face-offs over the scoring when you already have the scoring in Kirill Kaprizov, and you'd be a fool to put Kaprizov over Boldy. And if you did that, I'm closing my eyes at you because I don't want to know your reaction to that. If you put Boldy over Kaprizov, anybody, you're sick in the head, and I will defend that case. Number 3 for you, who is it?
Number 3 is Boldy for me.
God.
Is Boldy. First of all, you can't have 2 offensive players, 1-2. Sorry. It's too much. So, and Boldy, love him to death, but I want him to prove it in the playoffs. So I can't put him at 1 or 2. Plus, I don't think he's 1 anyway.
Yeah.
So, and I put him a little above Hughes just because. I don't know.
Just because.
I think he has that it factor, and I think he's gonna show a lot of people, and I think he did in the Olympics too.
Yeah.
So I think this is another step now.
You see, everything you're saying about Boldy, you could say the exact same thing for Hughes.
And I love Hughes.
And
they're 1 apart. 3-4, 4-3. You know, you could switch all these.
You could. We could.
They're all there. They're all like half a point between each other, you know?
And maybe at the end of the playoffs, bearing something crazy. Or even after a first-round exit, we come back and we see. We see.
And we should.
And if you guys want that, let me know in the comments.
Yeah.
I want that. And while you're at it, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. On to number 3. Oh, I didn't say 3
You didn't say 3.
I'm glad we got that. But anyway, my third, Brock Faber. You can't have 2 defensemen at number 1 and 2 because, I got Hughes and Kaprizov next, the next 2 players. Basically, I'd be a fool not to put those 2 on the top 2 because I haven't stated them already. Brock Faber, lockdown defense, almost leading the league in goals as well for defensemen, which is absolutely crazy. And he's just maturing each and every game. His first playoff game, he came out of Minnesota Golden Gophers. A week later, he was in the playoffs. That was his first playoff experience. He locked in, right? He locked in for that. And now he's played at the highest stage in the Olympics. He's going to lock in for this team. And he's going to be a X factor for this team, which lands him in my top 3. But now's where do we agree on 2? Or will we not agree one bit? Who is your number 2?
We won't agree on 2.
And number 2?
My 2 is the goaltender, Philip Gustafsson.
Okay.
I went that route because I've seen over my 40 years too much about goalies and how they took over playoffs and how they destroyed play. Look at the Edmonton Oilers. They just can't get over the hump because of goaltending.
Well,
I'm just saying, if in general, a goalie, he needs to be at least equal to Ottinger for the Wild to have any chance to beat the Dallas Stars. Because the Dallas Stars, these teams are equal, and the goalie is going to be a huge difference. If he can play like the Gusty we've seen when he's really good, does he have the lowest goal? Against or one of the 2?
He doesn't anymore. I think Walter has better stats. I'll look that up. Just keep.
And in general, the goalies, him or Wallstead, need to be fantastic, at least the same as Ottinger. And I think Gusty is up for it. I think he had a kind of a bad Olympic, but he came back roaring and is playing very well. And I'm putting him at 2. I think it's super important.
Yeah, I think you can make a case he could be at 1, 2 the way your list has been going because it's made absolutely no sense. Goals against average for Philip Gustafsson, right now he's 8th in the league, 2.56 save percentage. I believe he is 9th with a 9.10 save percentage, so still really good. Scott Wedgwood of the Colorado Avalanche right now leading the categories. Currently, stat-wise, Jake Ottinger not in the top 10 for either of those categories. Something to think. But for my top 2, we're not going to agree on anything because I have Kirill Kaprizov at number 2. Because Kirill Kaprizov, as good as he is, has many goals as he's scored 40 goals, right? He scored 40 goals. Absolutely insane. Probably my favorite player on this Minnesota Wild team. However, when you're thinking about this, Kirill Kaprizov, he can change a game. But ultimately, my number 1, Quinn Hughes, can change a series. Elite defense, amazing skating, an assist per night. How can you, it's Kaprizov, but a defenseman version of Kaprizov, which is ultimately better. And it's just, I know who you have at 1 now because of a process of elimination. You have Kaprizov.
I do.
How is Kaprizov better and more important than Quinn Hughes, who I have at 1?
Well, Kaprizov is the best player in the Wild. Come on. Right?
Now, that's a conversation for another time because how are you,
he needs to be. He needs to be.
I can take that, yeah.
We signed him long-term.
Very true.
He's hungry. And he has to show it, but I love Hughes as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think in a series, defense is going to win championships. And you take that series. I say that series a lot. I talk about that series a lot. That phrase a lot. Defenses win championships. And that's what ultimately drives it. As you can see, I mean, it kind of goes for you as well because you have goaltending.
Which and I have Hughes, too, at 4.
At 4. But for your top 3, I have Faber, Hughes, and Kaprizov as my top 3. 2 defensemen. And that's just where it comes to the line. I think that's where we see things differently. Who's your third again?
My third's Boldy. So I've got Kaprizov, Gustafson, Boldy, and Hughes.
And then Ek.
And then I really wanted Faber at 5, but I ended up putting Ek at 5 and then Faber at 6. But again, those can all move up and down one. It's hard because they're all good, and that's a good problem to have.
It's a very good problem.
So it'd be interesting to see as they play these games and we look at these lists, how these pan out, because that's what's fun about doing this.
Oh yeah,
plus
for sure.
you always wanna change it up a little and do a hot take once in a while. But
and that's what makes these fun too.
That's what makes these fun. Yeah, I mean, exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and it's going to be really interesting to see overall here since we have you on here, and I'm waiting for an image to generate so we have that full graphic of our top 5. Where are you at the Wild? Do you think this team, we know they're deep. We know they're deep, right? They're full of it. Do they have enough pieces? We've talked about these top 10. We've talked about the top 5. We talked about a little players in general. But overall as a team, it's a team sport. It's not an individual sport like tennis or golf. Does this team, here's the ultimate question, does this team have enough, let's just say first, to beat the Dallas Stars in a 7-game series in round 1?
Yeah, they absolutely do. I think their depthness is amazing. I don't know the Dallas roster very well other than the obvious people, so I don't know how deep they are. But I think we're deep. I think we have scoring power, and I think we have defensive power, and potentially we have really good goaltending if they don't fall apart. We have all 3 facets. We have tough guys. We have fast guys. I mean, do you see anything lack? I mean, yeah, we miss a center, maybe a big center, which we never got. But maybe as committee, as you move people around and you get a little lucky, or at least make the faceoffs close. I think we've played Dallas pretty well, haven't we, this year?
We have, and I wanted to say that. I said it in the intro, which you didn't get to hear because I'm filming that later, but they currently have the series lead 2-1. They have one game left on Tuesday. This is going to come out, I believe, Sunday, Easter Sunday, so happy Easter to y'all.
Yeah.
If they win on Tuesday night, they win the tiebreaker. They're only 4 points back right now with 1 game in hand.
Yeah.
We don't know what happened today. Obviously, when this is coming out, they've played the Red Wings already. If they have beaten the Red Wings, which they have been struggling, a lot. The Red Wings are still fighting for a playoff spot, so it's going to be a tough matchup. But if they do that, they come into the game tied with the number of games with the Dallas Stars. 2 points back. If they beat the Stars, they tie their number of points, take the tiebreaker, and if they win Tuesday night, as well as they beat the Red Wings tomorrow or today, it's already happened, they would technically be in second place out of that with 4 games to go, which puts them in a really good spot. So they played Dallas good in the regular season, but the regular season is only so much. But again, here's our top 5. Matteo's top 5s, you got 1 through 5. Hughes, Kaprizov, Faber, Eriksson, Ek, and Boldy. Babbo's top 5. Kaprizov, Gustafson, Boldy, Hughes, and Eriksson, Ek. And that is going to wrap it up for today's episode on Inside the Wild. Thank you guys so much for coming and just hanging out with us. Here's again, as we close every episode, here's a look at what's coming up next week. We got episodes weekly every Tuesday and Thursday. Sorry I didn't get an episode on Thursday. I was taking a little bit of a break for Holy Week just because that's the most important thing in our lives, as I will say in a second. I try to get almost daily shorts out there. Kingdom Competitors, that will come out around next Friday. And check out my articles on my website. Link is in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, let me know in the comments section down below. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Special thanks to Babbo. And as always, don't forget to keep God first because he's the most important thing in your lives. And I'll see you guys all in the next one. Have a great day.
Peace.